It's Natasha, and today I have a video for you featuring this die from AliExpress, and this is going to be one of the focal points on the front of my card along with a sentiment die. So first up, I am going to create my own background today. Some of you may have dies that do this, or you may have stencils that do this, but I was having fun today and just experimenting with how I could make my own. So this is some masking paper. I think this one in particular is from Simon Says Stamp. So it's sort of just a sheet of low-tack tape, if you like, that you can either die cut shapes from or use it to mask off images that you've already stamped. So I have a whole 8.5 by 11 sheet of this, and I'm cutting it into 1/4 inch strips. So I'm just using my trimmer and lining it up on that first little mark, and then I'm cutting heaps because I don't know how many I need. So then I've got some, this is a piece of Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock, and I just want to hold down the very corners of the cardstock because I don't want it to get in the way of the pattern. So here's all my strips that I have cut, and I just need to peel the backing paper off, and then I start off using my grid mat in the background to make sure that they are relatively even, and I didn't really know where I was going with this, and you can see that they aren't evenly spaced at the moment because I didn't know how I wanted it, and I decided that if I did it with the really skinny gaps in between, I would be there forever. So I'm still placing them down and trying to use the grid background at the back, and then I decide to change that bottom one. You can see that it's relatively easy to peel up these bits again. As I said, it's really low tack, so there's not too much risk of ripping your paper or anything. So I've done it all one way, and then I decide that I'm going to go the other way too. This was my plan, to kind of have a crisscross pattern, and I know that there are some dies available out there, some background dies. I just didn't happen to have one and felt like making my own kind of pattern. There are so many different types of patterns that you could create using these thin strips, so I think I'm keen to have a go and try out some other ones. But for now, this one I was happy with how this background turned out. So now I have my Distress Oxide in the Worn lipstick, and this is the colour that I've chosen to do the entire background in. Before I started, I did decide that I wanted to put this on a scrap piece of paper. So just pulled it up, and just at the beginning I was starting on doing really light ink, and then I thought if I'm if I'm going to do this, I want it to be really bold. So you can see that I just start going heavier and heavier and putting plenty of ink on there. These ink pads are new, and so they are nice and juicy, so it wasn't hard to put plenty of colour on, and they do blend really well. You don't have to put too much effort in to make sure that there are no blobs or splotches of ink around. So once I've done that, I'm going to put it aside for a minute because as it's a mix between a pigment and dye ink, it is wet for a little bit, so I'm going to leave it to dry. In the meantime, I'm going to create this little die cut, and this is some It Adhesive paper, so it's just a really thin layer of adhesive that you can put on the back of your die cuts to run it through the machine. So I was just figuring out which side was the sticky side and then putting it on the back. This is just some plain black cardstock that I'm going to use to run it through. This ended up being a really simple card. I had lots of fun doing the background, and that was the main fun part for me, and then just wanted to turn it into a card quickly before my daughter woke up from her nap. So I've run it through my die cutting machine and then just quickly poke out all of those little bits from the flowers. This little flower I think would be really cool to do a die cut inlay from, and I might still do it because I was thinking it when I was doing this if I was going to go to the effort of it, but I didn't really have time. So, and I quite like the black effect, the silhouette effect on the colourful background. So just picking out all of these little pieces, and now that little die cut has a layer of sticky adhesive on the back for when I need to peel it off. And then these are some dies that I got recently from AliExpress, and I think there's a thanks, a smile, a hello, and a love, and I am planning on doing the hello one. I've been really naughty, and both of these dies are new and haven't done a haul video. It's just I find myself running out of time at the moment, and I was dying to use them, so I was being a bit lazy, so I apologize about that, but I will get back to doing them. So when I am run this through in the white, and the hello to me, you can see I stop halfway because it feels like it says HELFO, and I'm sort of looking at it going, oh, it'll be all right, it'll be all right, I can let that go, and I really can't. So I get to here and I'm like, I don't understand the L, the F, is it an F or an L? It doesn't look right to me, and I can't leave it be. So I changed my mind and decide that I'm going to do the smile sentiment instead. So I cut one out in white cardstock and one out in black cardstock because I want to give one a shadow of the other, just to help it stand out from what is a bit of a busy background, a semi-busy background. So the smile is better and looks right to me. You can see the hello there on the table. It just doesn't look right to me, but that's okay. So I'm just using some multi-matte medium to glue these together. Just need a tiny little bit of glue and it will hold nice and strong. And then when I put them down, I'm just going to slide the black one to the right ever so slightly so that there's a shadow to the left. So these are the only two pieces that I'm going to put on my card front. As I said, very nice and simple card. You could, this is my favorite part, the reveal, you could definitely be really gentle when pulling these off and take them off all nicely. I didn't really have the time, and that doesn't bother me that I have to create new ones again. You can, when you creating masks for stamps, I often keep them and stick them on the back of the stamp set for another time, but for me, I didn't need to keep them for this one. I was okay about that. And I'm being fairly quick about it and just sort of pulling away, and I didn't rip the card front once, so it's pretty good masking paper in my opinion. And you can see that it's not all perfectly even. I can see that, and usually that would bother me, but it doesn't matter too much here. I do trim it down a little bit so that the edges look more even, but I was happy with how it turned out. Just cutting a piece of black cardstock. This is going to be the matte that I'll pop it on, and then taking about 1/4 of an inch off, or it might be 1/8 of an inch, sorry, off each side, just so that there's a tiny little thin black mat around the border. Just using some plain double-sided adhesive to adhere the background onto the black, and then I'll do the same with the black. And then I'm just figuring out where I want everything to go. So as I said, it's a really nice simple card. I would have loved for the smile to fit in snug a bit more in with the flower, but it just didn't, so it goes up the top. Here's that stickered adhesive that you can see on the back, and it is a very delicate die cut, so you have to be a wee bit careful, but peel it off and it's really sticky, ready to go. And I wanted it coming in from the bottom, and then I just have a little bit to trim off, just so that it wasn't floating in the middle of nowhere. And then the smile, I just am adding some multi-matte medium glue, just a little bit on the back, and then have that up the top. The only other thing I'm going to do to finish this card off is I wasn't sure whether I was going to use a pearl coloured one or the black ones, but I'm just going to put some pearls on them, and I end up using some black pearls to finish it off. Thanks so much for joining me whilst I created this card, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you like watching these things, and maybe even give me a thumbs up. Thanks so much, I'll see you next time. Bye!